Everyone, our speaker this evening is Dwain Hahs, the Jackson mayor. Dwain Hahs grew up in Jackson, Missouri. He graduated from Southeast Missouri State University in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, with a BS degree in marketing. He worked most of his career for Bausch Lomb, an eye health company, in sales and marketing and management positions in the U.S. and international businesses. He held positions as president of the international businesses, president of the RayBan Sunglasses, and president of operations in charge of manufacturing, engineering, and customer service. Dwain and his family have lived in Canada, United Kingdom, and China during his career. Dwain retired in 2008 after 32 years with Bausch Lomb when he and his wife Susan moved back to Jackson, Missouri. Dwain was lead director at AT Cross from 2010 to 2015, manufacturer of cross-writing instruments and Costa sunglasses. He has been involved in community activities. He has been an adjunct professor in Southeast Missouri State Universities and St. Louis University MBA programs. Chairman of the Southeast Missouri University Foundation, Board of Trustees member for the Illinois College of Optometry, and president of the Jackson Rotary Club, and the chairman of the Regional Economic Development Cooperation and Magnet. Dwain has been mayor of the city of Jackson since 2015. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present you Dwain Hahs.
Thank you, and thank you for having me tonight. And so I kind of got double booked at the end of the day. I have my wife's birthday dinner and my brother-in-law and sister's anniversary tonight, who Jerry and Nancy know well. So I'm off to a little celebration at my sister's house afterwards. But I appreciate being here tonight. Just want to tell you a little about Jackson. Really what I did was kind of bring our monthly report along from all the departments. And I just kind of want to go through department by department and what the priorities are for the city of Jackson. And then certainly want to have some chance for questions afterwards as well. A city is a population of 15,000 now. We grew 12% in the last 10 years. That's one of the fastest growing communities in Missouri, and certainly the fastest growing in Southeast Missouri. We have a government of 8 aldermen that are elected every 2 years, and the mayor is elected every 2 years as well. And basically the city is run by our city administrator, who reports to the Board of Aldermen, and that's Jim Roach in our city. We have 125 employees that run the city of Jackson that we have. The reason I like Jackson, the reason I like to be mayor, one of the key things is we are the government that's closest to the people. There's no one between us and the people. As we spend money, you can see how we spend money. We meet every 2 weeks and we take care of the business of Jackson, voting on how we're going to spend money, what ordinances we want, and discuss the future of Jackson. John was there at our last meeting that we have at the Board of Aldermen meet every 2 weeks, first and third Monday at 6 o'clock at the Jackson City Hall. So just to kind of tell you about our departments and what we do, the number one priority we have is public safety. We see that as our number one priority in the city. Our police and fire departments, we have about 35 in the police department, about 20 in our fire department. And they really take care of the safety of our city every day. And it's where we spend the most money as well. We spend about $6 million on our police and fire department every year, supporting them, making sure they're on the road. Part of that 35 police officers also include 6 school resource officers that we have. They serve in our schools every day. And they're present in all the buildings that we have in the city, and they also then transfer and cover the buildings that we have outside the city. So that's the most important thing that we do. We've been pleased with the staffing. We've kept our police and fire department well staffed. Our fire department are first responders. If there's a 911 call, our fire department, if it relates to health and fires, they go out first, and they'll be there before the ambulances get there. The ambulance follows up if it's a health health crisis that they need. Our police on a 911 call will go out if it's a issue of public safety that they have. Probably the biggest priority we have in that area, kind of what that we're looking on now as far as in the future, is we built a new police station about 4 or 5 years ago, finished that up. The old police station was shared with the fire department. We're going to rehab that station starting next year so that the fire department has a full station that they can take over, have bunks, and expand their operations a little bit. And also what that will keep us from needing to do is build a third fire station. Right now we have this central fire station that we have, and then we have one right here at the, down from Delmont, Costa, Orchard Road. We think if we rehab that central station, make it a little bigger, we won't need a north fire station in the future. So that's the plan. That's probably the biggest priority that police and fire have. Then it really comes to infrastructure as what the city does and what the citizens rely for us. We have our own electric department. That's our next biggest department. We have around 6,500 customers that we serve in electricity every day. We do about $16.5 million of billings for our electricity out to our utility customers every year. I guess, as far as a priority on our electric, it's mainly just making sure that we have electric and a good service every day. We have a tree program every year that goes around and clears the limbs off of lines before they fall. Our service rating is one of the best in the nation as far as reliability. The electric department, their #1 priority that they have is to add a substation in the city as we grow. And we'll be building that substation again at the end of Orchard Road, where the road goes over the interstate. You'll see a flat area, some fencing. We'll be putting a new substation to serve this area because this is the weakest area we have as far as service. And with the expansion that we have in this area, housing all the way up the interstate, that's where we need a new substation. Substations aren't cheap. We'll spend about $5 million on that substation, completely putting it in and rating it. And that'll be our 6th substation that we have in the city. Next is our water department, important department for us. We do about $2.5 million of billings out of our water department. We have about the same number of customers for all our utilities. We have 6 wells in the city that service us, and we have 4 towers, water towers that give us our water pressure within the city. The main priorities of the water department over the last couple of years, we had a bond issue 5 years ago to go through and replace all our small 3-inch lines to either 4 or 8-inch lines so that we've got good pressure throughout the city. And interesting enough, the most important thing about that water pressure, besides wanting the pressure yourself, is our fire department and our fire rating. We have an A fire rating, keeps our insurance rates low, but one of the main things they look for is water pressure throughout the city, throughout your hydrants. So that's the priority that the water department's working on now. The next big expenditure water-wise will be another water tower to give pressure, and we'll build that one around the Bent Creek area, somewhere between here and Bent Creek. We'll have a new water tower so that we make sure, again, we've got good water pressure throughout the city. The next department, as it goes through the monthly report, is wastewater. If you use water, you have to have wastewater. We bill about the same, $2.5 million. In fact, based on how much water you use is how much your bill is on wastewater, unless you have a separate meter. We just passed a bond issue for wastewater. We'll pay that bond, that loan back through our wastewater utilities. We won't use taxes, we'll just use our billings that we do every month for wastewater. What that bond issue was $10 million to rehab, upgrade our wastewater plant. Our last wastewater plant was built in '97, '93 when it was started, and over the last 30 years it started to get a little old. We need some new technology to keep up with the the extra volume that we have. The nice thing about the plant is when they first built it, they built it big enough that it would just rehab the internal mechanisms of that plant. Then we don't really need to expand the plant. So we use the same pools that we have, the same structures that we'll have. We'll just upgrade that. But it'll cost us some money to do that. But that should hopefully run us for many more years, at least 10 to 15 years. That will take care of the capacity and the growth of the city. So that's the wastewater plant. Sanitation Department, an important department to us. We pick up trash from all our citizens, not our businesses. We just do residentials. We pick that up once a week. We charge the residents $10 a month for our trash pickup. We think it's very reasonable. We use trash bags. We sometimes hear, why don't you have the nice rollout barrels? We've looked at it, but it would mean we probably have to come up to around $20 a month for that. And that's where Perryville, Farmington, Cape Girardeau that have that system. A lot of times those are systems that are run, not run by the city. We've decided to keep it where it is. Same thing with recycling. Recycling is fairly expensive to do at the curb, at the home. So we're running our recycling center out of our sanitation department. Seems to work pretty well for us. Recycling these days isn't a money maker any longer. It costs us a little money to run our recycling center, but we're able to sell the cardboard, the glass, the plastic to take care of most of the cost there. But we've decided not to have curbside recycling at this time just because of the cost of the trucks and so forth. We have some interesting departments. We have a cemetery department. They operate 2 cemeteries that we have. We probably have revenue of 50 to 100,000 from our cemeteries just by selling plots and what we do running the cemetery. And there is a cemetery tax. It's about $250,000. So our cemetery department, they spend around $300,000 a year. We have revenue around $300,000 to $350,000, and that's our cemetery department that we have. And then, one of our I guess most used departments besides our utilities is our park system. We have 250 acres of parks in the city of Jackson. Included in our park system is our civic center that we built out on Deerwood Drive, and we have a swimming pool. And then we do run a lot of our youth programs as well. Baseball, a lot of them are softball, football, soccer are run by parents. We run the baseball leagues internally to ourselves, and a couple of the other leagues that we have, we run ourselves. But the park department is well used. Our trail system is well used. Rotary Lake is used. So we're pleased with our park department, what it does. The park department's expenditure is about $1.1 million per year that we have, and that's what we collect from a park tax that we have, real estate as well as sales tax. But those are both definite park taxes. So that's how the park decides what they can spend every year, is what the revenue comes from the specific collections that we have there. Civic Center is something that is used a lot. For those that, if you haven't been there, it was probably one of the first things when I came in, is that we opened the Civic Center during my first year here. I was pleased that we had a generous foundation, the medical foundation that started many years ago in Jackson and had accumulated quite a bit of money over the years. They owned the nursing home, Jackson Minor, sold that. They owned quite a bit of property. They had sold that. So they donated $5 million for our Civic Center. The federal government added on about $2 to $3 million because we built a tornado room there, and we do open that up when there's tornadoes to do that. And then we had about $500,000 of donations from the public. So from all that, we did not have to use taxes to build the Civic Center. We do use our tax money as part of our park system to run that Civic Center, but we do charge rent for the various rooms that we have and events that we have within the Civic Center. Probably our biggest challenge as we look forward is just upkeep on the parks and a challenge of what we do with our swimming pool that's 40 years old. Right now, we're having a company out of St. Louis come look at our pool. How can we upgrade that pool a little bit? You know, some of it's just diving boards, maybe some things, and then really look at the internal workings of our pool that's getting a little old as well. And it leaks a little bit too, so we've got a challenge of what we do with our swimming pool. But that's something we'll figure out as we go forward. Then there's just some general departments that we have. Building and planning is a very active department. They do our zoning request within the city. Within the city, we have several zones. We have, like, the area around here is a commercial zone. Across the road is an industrial zone. We have zones just for residentials, and then we have combined zones. So the planning and zoning department really keep up with what kind of zoning there is, what can be allowed in what, and what can be permitted in what area. Also, that department issues all building permits that we have overall, and kind of set the rules for what building permits have to be, what they include, where do you need the permits and that. So pretty active department. It's a department of 3 people, but they stay busy. They also do inspections as well when there's building done. They do inspections of all buildings as well. The fire department, if it's a commercial business, also the fire department will do an inspection on any building before it's given its permit. Then you've got some of the small departments. We have a city clerk, Liza Walker. She takes care of all the official business of the city. She makes sure all ordinances are recorded. She effectively does all our filings with the state and federal government that are required of the city. So she's really the official that keeps us straight with all governments and keeps a record of everything within the city. We have a city collector as well, because we do collect a lot of utility bills on a monthly basis, and the city collector runs a small department of 4 people that does that. We have an IT department that runs our IT systems throughout the area, and then we have a public works department that mainly oversees our utilities, you know, the electric, the water, the wastewater. We have a small public works department, and also in that department is an engineer. Within the city, we have one engineer, and basically she oversees all the engineering programs that we have. If we do major engineering, we go out and hire that as either a company to do those engineering projects. We don't try to staff up to do a wastewater system or a water line or anything like that. We'll go outside and get that engineering done. Just so we've kind of had a philosophy of we can't. We're too small to try to staff up a lot of these departments, so we just use outside consultants, outside help when we do need those. Probably, and the exception of those is just those departments that have to run themselves: water, wastewater, and our public safety. We have a fleet maintenance department of 4 people. They take care of all our trucks, cars, and everything. They maintain them. They make sure they're up to date. If it's something big, we may have to take it out to an outside service to get it done. But they basically maintain all our cars, trucks, and equipment that we have within the city. I think that's the key departments. administration is just a small department, mainly our city administrator. We have a finance department that pays our bills and collects that revenue that we have overall. And we have one HR person that keeps our HR department, keeps our employees, their benefits, their pension. The issues of hiring people is done by J.J. Wisman, who's our HR department. So I think those are the key departments that we have, how we spend our money, and that our role is really infrastructure and public safety. As a city, we keep involved regionally, as during the introduction. We're active in economic development, which is really right now with the emphasis is about workforce. How do we improve and increase our workforce in our area? It's a challenge for all our businesses, including the one here, to make sure we've got people. Technology is a challenge within our workforce. So economic development, we work with the Magnet Group to work on that. Also, we talk to companies that want to come to the area and start a business here within Jackson or even within the region. And we have relations with them. We talk to them about the utility costs. We talk to them about opportunities. Over the past years, we've been successful in bringing Bondi to Jackson, Signature Packaging, Midwest Sterilization, what used to be ARI, the railroad company, which is now Greenbrier. So we have Rubbermaid here as well. So we have a lot of blessed with a lot of good industry here, solid industries, and industries that are doing well at this point in time. We work closely with our school system. Jackson school system is a big part of the city. It's our largest employer within the city. They employ over 900 people within the city of Jackson, including the small schools that they have outside. Within the city, we're about half the population of the school district. School district covers 35,000 people. Well, our 15 is about half of that. But most of the building, the workforce is within our city. So the school is important to us. We certainly work with the police department on safety with our school resource officers. The other relationship that probably is important to us is something called SIMPO, which is the Southeast Transportation Organization. We look at priorities across our county and our area as to where we should be spending our transportation money. The main group that we work with there is MoDOT, our Missouri Department of Transportation. They control a lot of our roads within the city. Any major highway, a letter designated road within the state is a state road. And they maintain those, they pay for those overall. We may share intersection costs with them occasionally. But basically, MoDOT is an important group, a partner that we work with a lot. And they probably have the biggest project, or one of the biggest projects next year within the city of Jackson, probably starting summertime, maybe earlier. We'll take from a roundabout at the post office all the way up to the swimming pool at Independence. They're going to redo Highway 61 North. They'll take up the roadbed, which is in bad shape. We'll concrete that so that we have a concrete road there. And then a major part of that is replacing the bridge over Hubble Creek. That's an important part of the highway system. That bridge was, many years ago, and is, being classed as a replacement bridge. We'll replace that bridge with a 3-lane bridge. We'll have a turn lane into the park area that's a little closer and not so close to Independence Street, which backs up and causes a lot of transportation. So they'll be doing that project next year. Our transportation department, we do have a road department, road and street maintenance, to take care of our own 106 miles of road that we have within the city. They do a lot of patching, major projects. Again, we do with outside companies through the bidding project. We just replaced a bridge in Hubble Creek, our low water bridge. With the standard bridge, we'll be doing another one on Mary Street and replacing that other low water bridge next year. But we'll do that with outside companies. But again, those are the two major road projects that we'll have ourselves. And then we spend probably about $200,000 to $300,000 a year just resurfacing our present streets, or panels of concrete that go bad, or parts of streets that go bad. Then we replace those, and we do a lot of that work ourselves on a daily basis with our street department. We have city boards. We certainly encourage citizens to get involved. We have a planning and zoning board that look at everything to do with planning and zoning and permitting. That comes to the planning and zoning board before it comes to the city council. We have a park board that basically oversees our city parks and how we spend our money, how we prioritize. They're a separate board that we have. We have a board of adjustments where if someone wants an exception to the rules, to our ordinances, that has to go to the board of adjustment first. And sometimes that's the last board, sometimes it can come to the city after that. We have a historical board. that looks at our historical building within town. And those are our major. We have an outreach board that really talks about events and kind of community outreach. They run the car show uptown. They have Touch a Truck. In the Christmas time, we have the Christmas lights within the park. They run that holiday light extravaganza. So our outreach board kind of is a community board. They also work with the Senior Citizen Center as well. So that's kind of our city board where citizens serve on. And we have a board of aldermen that's a representative on each one of those boards. To kind of wrap it up, just to kind of look at overall, where do we get our money to run the city? As I said, we have sales taxes. Our sales tax within the city is 2.5% on sales that are. So if you go to Buckeyes and buy something, 2.5 cents of that is what comes to the city of Jackson. And that's divided up. It's a general 1% that we can use kind of for anything. We have a 0.5% that goes to transportation. We have to use that for the roads. That goes into the road department. We have a parks tax, which is 0.25% of that 2.5%. Public safety is 0.75% overall, and that all adds up to sales tax. We collect about $6.5 million of sales taxes every year that we run the city with. Then we have real estate and property tax that comes with us to us. That's about $2.5 million. And that just comes down from the state. As you pay your personal taxes, your property taxes, we get that. Now, that's a small part of that. 90% of our property taxes go to schools. County takes a little bit, and then some of it comes back down to the city. Effectively, we run ourselves with sales taxes overall. We have a gas tax within the state. That comes back to, part of it comes back to the cities based on population. So we receive about $700,000 a year from the state, from the gasoline tax that you pay whenever you buy gas at the stove. And then we have about $800,000 of miscellaneous fees that we receive. Permitting is small. When you buy a permit, that comes back to us. Biggest part of that is franchise fees. Liberty Utilities runs gas, and they pay a franchise fees to us. The cable company, Charter Cable, has charter in our city. They pay a franchise fee to us. So we have a little fees that come to us from the utilities that we don't control. Usually it's around 5% of their sales comes back to us. And that's for using our easements within the city. You see cable companies, you see fiber companies building all over the town right now. They use our electric poles, they use our easements. So those fees are really the reimbursement for the use of our utilities and our poles. So that's kind of the last bit that we have within the city. So that's what I just kind of wanted to go through the departments, what we do, some of the priorities that we're doing overall, and how we see. So that's kind of it. And I'd really like to open it to questions now.